There we go. Hi, y'all. Happy, what is today? Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. Hannah Hasan here. It is election day here. Well, primary day here in Charlotte and Super Tuesday. So there's going to be a lot of voting happening in different cities and states across the country. As you all know, I have embarked on a project that will take place hopefully every day during the month of March. It is Women's History Month. And in honor of that, I will be sharing a story, poem, speech, or something from a Black woman who matters from our history, essentially. I thought today it would be really important to share a story that is connected to voting. We hear oftentimes about how people died for us to have the right and the things that they risk, but I don't know that we have really let ourselves stand in that and really know those stories. So I'll be coming on every day from different spaces and places and times. Right now I'm coming to you from my home. I just voted. And this that I'm going to share today is an excerpt from a speech given by Fannie Lou Hamer. She's talked about this experience that she had in a couple of different speeches. So I'm just going to read the speech and you do with it what you will. I want to bring some of these speeches back to life that maybe either we haven't heard in a long time or maybe have never heard. And I hope that this month we can share them and talk about them with not just other Black people or Black women, but with a lot of people. So here is an excerpt from a speech given by Fannie Lou Hamer, and it is essentially her story in her words. And I can tell you now how this happened. After I had been working for 8 or 10 months, I attended a voter educational workshop in Charleston, South Carolina. On the 9th of June in 1963, we was returning from the workshop. We arrived in Winona, Mississippi about 11 o'clock. 4 of the people got off the bus to use the restaurant. 2 of the people got off the bus to use the washroom. At this time, I was still on the bus, and I saw the 4 people rush out, and I got off the bus, and I said, "What's wrong?" And Miss Ponder, Southwide Supervisor for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, said it was the Chief of Police and a State Highway Patrolman ordered us to come out. And I said, "This is Mississippi for you." She said, "Well, I think I'll get the tag number and we can file it in our report." And I got back in the bus. One of the girls that had used the washroom got back on the bus, and that left 5 on the outside. When I looked through the window, they was getting those people in the car, and I stepped off the bus again, and somebody screamed from that car and said, "Get that one there." And a man said, "You're under arrest." When he opened the door, and as I started to get in, he kicked me, and I was carried to the county jail. When I got to the county jail with the 2 white fellows that drove me to jail, they was calling me all kinds of names. And they was asking me questions, and as I would try to answer, they would cut me off. And as we got to the county jail there, when we walked into the booking room, one of the policemen walked over to one of the young men and jumped up with all of his weight on one of the Negro's feet. And then they began to place us in cells. I was placed in a cell with Miss Uvester Simpson from Ida Bena, Mississippi. And during that time, they left some in the booking room, and I began to hear screams, and I began to hear howls, and I began to hear somebody say, "Can't you say yes, sir, nigger?" And I could hear Miss Ponder's voice say, "Yes, I can say yes, sir." "So, well, say it." She said, "I don't know you well enough." And I would hear her when she would hit the floor again and again. And during the time they was beating Miss Ponder, I heard her when she began to pray. And she asked God to have mercy on those people because they didn't know what they was doing. I don't know how long this lasted, but after a while, Miss Ponder passed my cell. She didn't recognize me when she passed my cell. One of her eyes looked like blood, and her mouth was swollen, and she was holding up by propping against the back of the brick cell. And then 3 men came to my cell, a state highway patrolman and a police and a plain dressed man. The state highway patrolman said, "Where you from?" I said, "Ruleville, Mississippi." He said, "I'm going to go check." And it wasn't too long before he was back. And he used a curse word, and he said, you're from Ruleville, all right. He said, we is going to make you wish you was dead. I was let out of that cell into another cell where they had 2 Negro prisoners, 3 white men in that room and 2 Negroes. The state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro to take the blackjack. It was a long leather blackjack, and it was loaded with something heavy. And they ordered me to lay down on my face on a bunk bed. And the first Negro beat me. He had beat me until the state highway patrolman gave him orders to quit, because he had already told him, said, if you don't beat her, said, you know what I'll do. And he beat me, I don't know how long. And after a while, he was exhausted, and I was exhausted too, and it was a horrible experience. And the state highway patrolman told the second Negro to take the blackjack. And I asked at this time, I said, how can you treat a human being like this? The second prisoner said, move your hand, lady. Move your hand, lady. I don't want to hit you in your hand. But I was holding my hand behind on the left side to shield some of the licks, because I suffered from polio when I was 6 years old, and this kind of beating, I knew I couldn't take it. So I held my hands behind me, and after the second Negro began to beat me, the state highway patrolman ordered the first Negro that had beat me to sit on my feet to keep me from working my feet. And I was screaming, and I couldn't help but scream. And one of the white men began to beat me in my head and told me, stop screaming. And the only way that I could stop screaming was to take my hand and hug it around the tip to muffle out the sound. My dress worked up from this hard blackjack, and I pulled my dress down, taking my hands behind and pulled my dress down, and one of the city policemen walked over and pulled my dress as high as he could. 5 men in this room while I was one Negro woman being beaten, and at no time did I attempt to do anything but scream and call on God. I don't know how long this lasted, but after a while I must have passed out. And when I did raise my head up, the state highway patrolman said, get up from there, fatso. But I couldn't get up. I don't know how long, but I kept trying, and you know God is always able. And after a while, I did get up, and I went back to my cell. That is a portion of a speech from Fannie Lou Hamer. My intention this month is to give honor and love and light to just some of the Black women who have created a path and paved the way for people like me. I chose to speak that story today specifically because it is election day here and in a lot of other cities. And I know that oftentimes we talk about what was risked for us to have the right to vote. But it takes on another feeling and meaning when you hear this story that you just heard, that true story, that true account in her own words was because she was fighting for the right to vote. So that's my shared story speech for today, and I'll plan to be back tomorrow, God willing, with another one. So just keep joining me here on Facebook Live. There'll be different times throughout the day, hopefully every day during this month, and I'll come to you from different places. Please feel free to share and comment and speak about it. I know this one was a difficult one to hear, but I hope that you gained something from it. All right, I'm Hannah Hasan. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.